So I've never been a huge fan of Deftones, but I appreciate a lot of their work that I have heard from them. I've listened to Around the Fur a couple times, as well as Saturday Night Wrist. I really like those albums. My personal favorite tracks are like a lot of their popular ones. My favorite one though being Sex Tape. And going into this album, I really had no idea what I was getting into, and I'm very glad that I listened to it because I actually left this album with a positive experience that I don't normally would have. I would have never really picked up from any other band, I would say, and that is that this album actually got me interested into checking out their discography. Now, I have two different. I listened to this album twice in two different ways. The first way was without headphones, and the second way was with headphones. Obviously, when it comes to Deftones, I feel like it's a crime to listen to it without headphones. But I just wanted to get both different. I wanted to hear the album both ways, and see if my opinion changed on any of the tracks that I would revisit. And surprisingly, yes, I actually did change my opinion on some of these tracks. One for the positive, or a couple for the positive, and one for the negative. Um, yeah, so I want to get into my review. So what the first track, Mine is a Mountain. I really have nothing much to say about it because it's completely atmospheric. There's not really a whole lot I can dig into it. It's a good album starter. That's pretty much all I can say. Moving on to the second track, Locked Club is the only song on this album that I did not like. There was nothing about it that I found to be interesting, and honestly, the aggression in this song just did not work for me at all. I didn't write. There wasn't that much else I could say about it. It just the vocals in this song were not it, and the instrumentals were kind of just like typical what you would expect for to match the vocals. However, I feel like down the line there was another song that did this style way better, and I'll get to it when I get to it. But the second one, which is EC Dices, I think I'm just gonna pronounce it that way. This is keep in mind that I listened to this without headphones for the first time, and this was I wrote down. The beefy riff was probably the best part, but I did not enjoy the vocals. Kind of like it was better than the other song, Locked Club, but for me it wasn't it. Moving on is probably going to be one of my songs of the year, which is Infinite Source. This song is absolutely incredible. I really haven't been blown away from a song like this probably since like Sex Tape. But genuinely speaking, this song is absolutely remarkable. The riff was the chef's kiss. The singing was like nothing more than superb. And the atmosphere was just absolutely impeccable. Moving on, we have the CXZ, and honestly, with this track, the most I could say about it was that the guitar work was fun, and it seemed like a little bit more unique compared to the other styles of songs that we get into on this album. Next up is I Think About You All the Time. More or less, just beautiful atmosphere, all around a vibe. The guitar was so good in this song. And then after that is Milk Madonna, which is like the more real, straightforward kind of rock heavy track, but I'm not complaining. The atmosphere was really interesting, and the aggression was probably the first example that I would say was done really well with the overall sound on this album. I absolutely really liked it. There's nothing more I could say about that one. Next up is Cut Hands. I love the atmosphere on this one as well as the progression or the aggression that's added in this song. Seems like it's just a better idea, better it's a better done idea compared to like Locked Club. To me, this is just the better version of Locked Club, and the ending was so good. Next up is Metal Dream, which is probably my second favorite song on the album. It seemed like, honestly, I would say it's probably the most experimental out of the bunch. I loved everything with how the percussion sound and the guitar was really good, but obviously the selling point really here is the singing in the chorus. That was absolutely just incredible. There's not there's not a lot of words I can really use with Deftones outside of incredible, impeccable, fantastic, amazing, you know. And then we get to Departing the Body, which I literally wrote more or less the same. There was nothing new that I picked up on. It kind of just seemed like a song for the album that matched the vibe. There was nothing interesting about it from the perspective of listening to it without headphones. Now, when it comes to with headphones, there was some stuff that I kind of just added more to like sell you on some of these songs. The Easydices, hearing the bass and the riff at the same time, like that definitely made me enjoy the song more than my initial listen. The aggression was perfect, like balancing with the overall full like atmosphere and the rest of it. I know, like I heard before, I kind of just said that it wasn't, the vocals weren't it and everything, but this song specifically seemed like it was just the better song to listen to with headphones. More or less, like with Infinite Source, I wrote that it's just a contender for my favorite, one of my favorite songs of the year, if not my favorite Deftones song, period. Souvenir, I wrote that the tension in the instrumentals, like within the beginning, was very interesting, and I really liked that. And there were the vocals specifically on this song were really interesting, because there's one part where I couldn't tell if there was whispering or if it was just like a faint scream, and then there was another part where it sounded like someone was like talking on a phone, and that added overall to the whole song in a very interesting way. Now, the song that I changed my mind on was actually the CXZ song, because genuinely listening to with headphones, it just became repetitive, and I didn't enjoy it as much as when I heard it without headphones. I Think About You All the Time has an amazing part where I think it's closer to the end of the song, where they bring in acoustic strings on top of the already distorted atmosphere, and that really sold me. Honestly, I Think About You All the Time is quite possibly maybe my third favorite song on the album. Leaving this album, I think I have like probably about 3 songs that I put in contender for my favorite songs of the year. Cut Hands, I just wrote Better Locked Club. There was a weird guitar solo that I liked, and I just thought about adding to the review because it was just something cool to add. Metal Dream, once again another contender for song of the year. But Departing the Body, this time around, I really just appreciate everything about it. I feel like once again, it's in one of those songs that you have to listen to with headphones. Otherwise, when you listen to it without headphones, you might kind of say it just sounds the same. And I wanted those different experiences. But yeah, honestly, it had a very interesting intro / ending. I mean, they're the same, but those ideas on top of basically kind of getting another, like, I would say, my mind is a mountain type of atmosphere. It was a very interesting closer, and genuinely speaking, I think it's probably my 4th favorite song on the album. But yeah, my overall review of this is simply that it blew my expectations out of the water. This is a fantastic album. I would not consider it perfect. Judging by the songs that I had positive and negatives to say, and especially like the switching my opinions on, I would consider this album to be at least an 8.5 out of 10. I wouldn't consider it any higher than that because of the Locked Club, as well as my different listening experiences with like CXZ and But I feel like really just CXZ and Locked Club were the down points on this album. Outside of that, you know, all the interesting ideas that that song still had, it's still worth mentioning. This album is really incredible. Outside of listening to the Deftones discography, I'd probably, if what I've heard from each album compared to this album, I would say that this album could probably be a third, if not second favorite of mine from them. But yeah, that's my overall review. I'm curious to hear what everybody else thought. I know some people think this is a perfect album. Some people think it's like second best Deftones album. I'm genuinely curious to hear other people's opinions on this, but yeah, that's my overall opinion from basically being someone that only heard like most of their popular songs, and so I get one of the most popular albums as well as one of their divisive albums, I think. But yeah, that's all. Peace.